please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. Just a reminder to please put your cell phones on silence. With that, may we have roll call, please?
Good evening, Council. Mayor Bain, I'll start with you.
Yes, here.
Councilor Gorell. Councilor Lundstrom.
Here.
Councilor Scalise.
Here.
Councilor Sherman. Here. Councilor Spradlin.
Here.
Councilor Straub.
Here.
Okay, we've all had a chance to take a look at the regular meeting minutes of April 12th. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, I'd look for a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
So move.
Councilor Scalise moves to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
A second.
Dana, second. Okay, any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Councilor Gorell.
Yes.
Councilor Straub.
Yes.
Councilor Sherman.
Yes.
Councilor Spradlin.
Yes.
Councilor Lundstrom.
Yes.
Councilor Scalise.
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. Is there anyone that would like to publicly comment tonight? I'm looking right at you. Oh, you'd like to publicly comment?
Did you want to comment?
No, sir. No,
No,
sir.
sir.
I'm good, thanks.
Mr. Robert Gifford sent me an email.
Can you come up? Let's capture you on the microphone.
My name is Rick Krogley and I live in Brush.
Address, please. Address.
This is from the previous chicken guy is what I call him. He calls me and oh, Rick, this is the chicken guy, so I'm just relaying the message. He said, I wanted you all to know, and many others, that there are still others interested in backyard chickens. We are doing research into surrounding communities and their policies and restrictions. I hope and trust the city will keep this option open as we gather our information. Thanks again to all of you who are taking the time and consideration for this.
And what was the name?
Robert Gifford,
Is that the gentleman that came to public comment?
the chicken guy.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right, thank you.
Probably wouldn't have been funny if you hadn't been so serious.
Okay, moving on to management, number 5. First up, we have a proclamation number 2021-2. Rick Krogley, are you speaking to that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, just to remind everyone that last year there was no Arbor Day celebration due to COVID, and this year there is going to be one, which will be April 30th. It's a Friday at 10:40 a.m. at the golf course, and this is just a reminder that you all are invited to come, so the mayor and council. Am I reading this or 10:30? Yes.
I was going to ask Councilor Lundstrom. I've been
Perfect.
taking proclamations around the council. I was going to ask, after we vote on it, if you would read that proclamation, sir?
This one?
Okay.
Great.
All right, with that, I'll look for a motion on the proclamation.
I move we
Except?
accept proclamation number 2021-2, proclamation affirming April 30th Arbor Day in Brush, Colorado.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Allison, second. Any further discussion on that?
It's good to have you back, Kevin.
Apparently I've lost my game here.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilor Scalise.
Yes.
Councilor Sherman.
Yes.
Councilor Lundstrom.
Yes.
Councilor Spradlin.
Yes.
Councilor Gorell.
Yes.
Councilor Straub.
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. And with that, do we have a copy that Councilor Lundstrom will read? Oh, you have it right there, too.
The same one? Yeah. All right. Whereas, in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas the holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife, and whereas trees are renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property value, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees are a source of joy and spiritual renew. And whereas Brush has been recognized as a Tree City USA by the National Arbor Day Foundation and desire to continue its tree planting ways. Therefore, on behalf of the Brush City Council, Charles R. Bain, as mayor, do hereby proclaim April 30th, 2021 as Arbor Day in the city of Brush. And I urge all citizens to support the efforts to care for our city's community forestry program. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees, excuse me, to gladden the hearts and promote the well-being of present and future generations. Approved and adopted the 26th day of April 2021.
Easy for you to say.
You know what, I think you're just testing to see if I can read or not. I don't appreciate the
Thank you
rules.
very
like I
much.
said.
All right, moving on to 5B, ordinance number 885-21. This will be a first reading on an ordinance amending the City of Brush Municipal Code regarding telecommunications to include section 16-7-30, standards for small cell wireless facilities. Dan Krob, City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is the same thing you've seen every week for the past, or every other week for the past 6 or so. Small cell communications, it just makes any carrier enter into a master license agreement so that we can control where they are, what they look like. So, any questions?
Okay, thank you. With that, I would look for a counselor to introduce. Oh, no, we don't need to introduce a motion. Yeah, yes, we do. We need a counselor to introduce the motion.
I so move. I'd like to introduce ordinance number 885-21, an ordinance amending the City of Brush Municipal Code regarding telecommunications to include section 16-7-30, standards for small cell wireless facilities.
Okay, motion, or the ordinance has been introduced. Do I have a motion by council?
So moved.
Do we move to approve it, or the first reading?
Move to approve on first reading.
Move to approve on first reading.
Who's made?
Oh,
Is that a motion?
I move to approve on first reading ordinance number 885-21.
Okay, Counselor Sherman, motion to approve on first reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
Counselor Scalise, second. Any further discussion? It's a real deep one for us.
Oh my gosh.
All right, roll call vote, please.
Counselor Lundstrom,
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin,
Yes.
Counselor Scalise,
Yes.
Counselor Garrell,
Yes.
Counselor Stroud,
Yes.
Counselor Sherman,
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. Okay, moving on to 5C. This is an emergency ordinance number 886-21, first reading, an ordinance amending various provisions of the Brush Municipal Code to incorporate the new flood insurance study for Morgan County, Colorado, and incorporated areas May 18th, 2021 through May 28th, 2021. Dan Krob, City Attorney.
All right, so sorry to spring this on you guys. This is essentially a belt and suspenders kind of safety net to ensure that the FEMA map that you've already voted on accepting is approved within enough time to make sure that if there is a flood during those 10 days, that we're covered. That's why it's an emergency ordinance. There's a 30-day referendum period after you pass an ordinance, and that could kind of push out how we had it set up earlier past and kind of create a lapse in coverage. So this ordinance only approves what you already approved effective immediately.
With the emergency stipulation to have it go in 30 days.
Exactly.
Question, Dan, does that require us at the next meeting to have a second reading and a hearing, or will this finalize?
This is a one and done. So
Okay.
this should be
Okay.
everything we need.
All right, all right. Thank you. With that, I'd look for council to introduce by title the motion on first reading.
That's you, Kevin.
I was trying to give other people a chance.
We were lost without you last week. We stared at each other for a good 2 minutes before someone read the dang thing.
On that note, move to introduce emergency ordinance number 886-21, an ordinance amending various provisions of the Brush Municipal Code to incorporate the new flood insurance study for Morgan County, Colorado, and incorporated areas May 18th, 2021 through May 28th, 2021.
Okay, it has been officially introduced. Now look for a motion to approve on first reading.
I move that we approve on first reading emergency ordinance number 886-21.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Counselor Gurel, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Counselor Sherman. I think she beat you by a little.
I gave you a minute.
She got me.
I stalled.
Any further discussion on this? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Counselor Scalise,
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin,
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom,
Yes.
Counselor Strau,
Yes.
Counselor Sherman,
Yes.
Counselor Gurel,
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. This next one, 5C, intergovernmental agreement between Brush School District and the City of Brush for a school resource officer. Monty Trez.
Chief Boss isn't here this evening, so I'll cover this one for him. Essentially, it's the SRO program that the city council had previously reviewed at a work session. And it'll be a SRO officer that is located at the secondary campus, and the school district will supply an office for the SRO. The cost is gonna be 75% of the cost to the school district, 25% of the cost to the city of Brush. Originally, this was all supposed to be funded through the school district, through the MLO, but then after it was passed, it didn't work out that way. Also, there's some funding for leasing the police car from the city as well. And it'll be a great program. The agreement is for 2.5 years. It'll start in January, is when we anticipate it starting. And then we just hope that the school district continues on with it after that, because it's hard to bring in an officer, get them trained up, and then being able to say, well, we can only guarantee you the employment for 2.5 years. So we'll see where that goes. But it'll be a good program, and we've been looking forward to this for quite a few years now, because approximately 12 years ago was the last time I think we had a SRO, somewhere around then, and that was paid mostly through a grant, and then the remainder was shared between the city and the school district. And then during the summer months, we're gonna try and get the hours all worked out so that we don't overwork them throughout the school year. But then during the summer months, then we're able to use them for on the streets, the different events that we do have around the community.
Any questions?
I think there's going to be a pretty good, even if they don't continue with it, well, I'm sure we're going to need an officer at one point in time, you know what I mean? So,
Right. Okay. With that, I look for a motion to approve an intergovernmental agreement with the school district.
I move we approve intergovernmental agreement between Brush School District and the City of Brush for a school resource officer.
Okay, we have a motion by Counselor Lundstrom to approve the agreement. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Counselor Gurel, second. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Counselor Strauss,
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin,
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom,
Yes.
Counselor Scalise,
Yes.
Counselor Gurel,
Yes.
Counselor Sherman,
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. Okay, 5D is a bid award notice. Monty's doing double duty here again. Water Department pickup.
Dell's out sick this evening, and the water bid, we only received one bid for this vehicle, and it's well below the $45,000 that we had in the budget. And Corf is the successful bidder at $30,702, and we're asking for approval to purchase the vehicle.
And that was from Corf? Okay.
Out of curiosity, Monty, how far do we open those bids up to? Or like, what's the process?
Each bid's a little bit different. Mostly with the vehicles, they'll check with, within the county. And usually it's for the dealerships with new pickups or new vehicles. So that would be Toyota, and right next to them is the Dodge Jeep, and then we always do Corf as well.
Just curious.
And then we typically put it on the website too. So if anyone might be missing, it's usually posted on our city website.
It's kind of nice we picked Corf though, being they do have a lot here in town, you know?
Okay. Okay, with that, I'll look for a motion on the bid award.
And move that we approve the bid award to Corf for $30,702 for the water department pickup.
Okay, we have a motion by Counselor Scalisi to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Counselor Spradlin seconds. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Counselor Garrell,
Yes.
Counselor Stroud,
Yes.
Counselor Sherman,
Yes.
Counselor Lindstrom,
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin,
Yes.
Counselor Scalisi,
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. Okay, moving on to number 6, finance.
I move we approve disbursements and payroll from April 13th to April 26th, 2021 in the amount of $281,011.39.
Okay, we have a motion by Counselor Sherman to approve. Do I have a second?
A second.
Counselor Lundstrom second. Further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Counselor Scalisi,
Yes.
Counselor Garrell,
Yes.
Counselor Stroud,
Yes.
Counselor Sherman,
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin,
Yes.
Counselor Lindstrom,
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. Okay, moving on to number 7, staff reports. Rick Krogley, an assistant administrator. Address, please.
I'm in brush.
Okay.
So 304 Clayton Street is going to be called our Community Development Department. So that will be the official name. I've contacted Morgan County Signs to come up with 3 designs, taking our city logo and incorporating with Community Development Department. So it'll look similar, but it'll just take the color out. So it'll be more, professional, steel, masculine look kind of thing. That's what we're going for. But yeah, we're moved in. We're unpacking. Most of it's unpacked, but there's still a lot of stuff to do. But yeah, it's we've had a lot of people come in, so it's exciting to kind of be official on that. Our guys are doing well. Dale likes it. David Basil, our building technician who does our inspections too, he's doing great, outstanding. So it was probably one of the best decisions we did is to move on that. This past week I got a chance to do a walkthrough at the brush meat processors where the bison plant is. Incredible. It's an outstanding plant. They're going to do an expansion, and so walk through to kind of see what they're doing, and then I was able to do the building permit in-house. So there's no special use permit for what they're doing. It's just storage, cold storage. So I thought that was very insightful learning through. Let's see what else to inform you with. I took the responses that we asked for about the traffic and pedestrian study. We reached out to Facebook, mainly Brush Concerned Citizens. We did it on our page, but I didn't get any responses for our side. But there was a lot of, I think there was 18 responses. I've taken that to the consultant that's doing it and forwarded all those. And I categorized them so they can see exactly what are the main issues. Sent that.
I was going to ask if you had seen any progress on that because I saw the person standing out there both morning and afternoon when I took my son to school with a clipboard counting movement. So I was happy to see that progress.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad they saw that, but I also wanted to make sure that they got, if they didn't see something, but we know more issues, they need to make sure that they incorporate that in their study.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's see. We were able to finally kind of get numbers for a letter of credit for a land processor plant so that we can do the certificate of occupancy. So this is just the final things that they had to do. So we met with Spencer and Kevin to kind of let's close this up, and that went really well. So we articulated in a way, here's what you should be doing, but this is what we're doing, this is fair. So let them feel uncomfortable when they see the actual number they should be doing, and then give them the number that they are. So if we would have gave them that number first, they would have freaked out. But knowing that the other number was much bigger, it kind of softened the blow. It's like a velvet brick. So it still hurts, but it's not as bad. But yeah, that's good. We're going to hopefully get that worked out. And then today we had a stakeholders meeting, and I thought that was great. We have a conversation talking about child care facility and the school system right now is going to start initiating something there on the school grounds and asking stakeholders to get involved so that we can save slots for them and then kind of pay accordingly. So that's in the process right now, and so that's all I have.
One question with the new building, since it's done and we're in there. I know Larry and I were over the other day and kind of took a tour of it. Can counselors call
Absolutely.
you and come
Call
in and take
me,
a look?
and I'd love to give you a tour.
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
And we have a
how big it
special
is on
office down in
inside
the
over
basement
there.
for you.
You have what?
We saw your bowling alley. We saw your bowling alley.
He wants an archery
No,
range.
yeah, you want the
Yes.
archery range. Dale wants a bowling
That's what we
alley.
heard. Okay, but yeah, I think we really have done a good job with making it look nice in there.
It looks great.
Yeah,
I encourage you all to go check it out. It's a good job there, so.
I have one question.
Yes.
You know, in the past, we've had opportunities when a new business opened up to go tour it. And I know we did that for the Bison,
Mhm.
but is this gonna happen for the land processing?
Yes, if that's something I'll set something up.
I'd like to do it.
Well, I'd like
That
to
would
go
be
see
nice.
this.
I would too.
Okay.
That'd be cool.
I'll go ahead and set it up then.
Okay,
Yeah, they would love it for you guys to come see it.
great.
Okay.
Okay,
Great.
terrific. Okay, next up, Loranda Packard, City Clerk.
I have nothing to report this evening.
Okay. Dan Krob, City Attorney.
Also nothing to report.
Okay. Monty Therese, City Administrator.
Couple items. One is the City of Brush, we have a Water Advisory Committee. And this week or next week, is going to meet with the mayor just to talk about who all is still left on that committee. We've had some that are not on it anymore, but we need to get that committee reactivated. Last time we met, it was discussing legal issues with a property owner that was potentially going to contaminate our water system. So we were successful in kind of holding that project off or keeping it at a distance. And now we have more pressures from other communities from the Front Range moving in to potentially contaminate and take water out of our aquifer. So we need to visit about that and bring in our engineers and our legal team for water and update the committee and start talking about where we go from here. So I did get an email that it's looking like court for that's going to be slated for 2023 sometime. Water courts are really busy these days and they have to project out a couple years. And there's a lot of opposers to the case. Brush is one of them, and we'll just have to strategize a little bit and understand the situation better. But at the same time, there's some potential opportunities for the city of Brush with more water. So we want to get some of those plans that we've had on the shelf for a while, start talking about those now where we go for the future. Because if this one project were to contaminate our well field, then we'd have to put in a water treatment facility, which is very expensive to operate, so we'd have to figure out how to fund that in the future. So anyways, a little doom and gloom, but it's reality. The state of Colorado is growing like crazy, and water is the limiting factor for a lot of them, and they're willing to pump this water from the Brush area, even the Sterling area, all the way back to the Front Range. So we'll keep you apprised of that, but I'll visit with the mayor later this week or the following week to get that water committee going again. Also, Bob Milano, Vicky Milano, they own a property up near Bob's Boulevard, and their property has had problems with where it lies, being what appears to be half in city, half out of city. And so we're working with the assessor's office to figure out some solutions, and we're just waiting to hear back from the Milanos whether their preference was to go de-annex part of their property or correct things so they're county residents, or do they want to be in city limits. And I got an email this afternoon. Their request is that they be brought into the city, and that way they don't have to pay the out of city double the amount for water and sewer. And so that news came in today, so I'll be visiting with the city's attorney, and we'll we'll come up with a plan and the steps of how to do this. I'm not sure if there's much cost to it, but they are paying in-city property taxes, but then they're still been getting charged double the out-of-city rates. So we're gonna work on getting that cleared up. That's all I have.
Okay. Moving on to mayor and council reports. Does council have anything to report tonight?
Yeah, we took that tour with Dale, which is awesome, because there should be a little game called What Doesn't Dale Know? You know what I mean? Because he's so knowledgeable about everything. And I'd hunted him down. We had a guy over on our ward by the siren, and there was a pothole that had formed where they took the old pole out, and he was upset about it. And it didn't get filled right away, wouldn't hurt anything, but I found Dale, told him about it. He got done that day. So it's too bad he's not here, because I really wanted to praise him when he was here, but I think sometimes we forget how lucky we are to have him in that position. You know, Dale is very good at what he does, and we're very lucky to have him in this town. So, and he can never retire now. So, I mean, we got to figure out how to keep him around, you know?
Okay. All right, anyone else?
I had a couple citizens talk to me while I was visiting my aunt at Centennial Manor, concerned about the number of accessible parking spots there. To my eye, it looked okay, but I wanted to bring it up and, you know, throw it on somebody's radar.
Where at?
Centennial Manor on Ray.
Oh.
Right by
Is that a
Thompson.
city property?
I think it's the Brush Housing.
Housing Authority,
Oh,
yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So, anyway, just wanted to throw that out there so someone's aware. Please.
Okay, all right. Anyone else? Rick?
I have a question, but I wanted to ask Dan before, so I've been working with a couple developers, and one developer in particular is looking.
Can you get up that way we capture it for address,
So, been
please?
talking-
I was going to say, you beat me to it.
I'm interested anyway. I've been working with a couple developers who are looking at housing for brush. One of the developers is trying to learn lessons from this past of Westwood. He is going after that one, but if it's not going to work out with the price, which is not looking good right now because he's doubled the cost. So, but he's looking at other options. But what he had said is it an option? So this is where I turn to the attorney and say, is it an option that we could set up a work session and have him ask questions to the council of what the community, in his opinion, what the community would recommend this kind of housing to be before it goes to the planning? So it would be not an application yet, but he would like to hear before he starts doing a lot of planning.
We can do that. It's really easy to get yourself in trouble by the developer hearing, hey, we want this kind of housing, and then taking that as, well, the council said they would approve this kind of housing. So generally what I tell communities is you want to separate yourself from that. He's probably got other options available to him as far as pulling citizens or something like that to get a feel for it.
Okay.
I guess we could do a workshop, and if, you know, one thing you can do is if he pitches, hey, I want to put a 60-story hotel building, and council says, absolutely not, there's no way we want to go for that. I'm more comfortable with that, but developers tend to hear what they want to hear sometimes, and work sessions like that can open that door.
Maybe if we did it like a community work session, not just a city council one, open it up to, like we did at the course when the other ones were coming in, just to kind of get feedback from the.
Oh, yeah.
The one thing that happened the last time, it all seemed good, but then the way they presented it was they only gave you the options that they wanted really to do. So then they turned it around and said, here's what you wanted, this is what the people wanted, but you didn't really give them choices. It was, so it made it kind of tricky the whole way through where Jay was always saying, this is what you guys said you guys wanted. And we go, well, that's not what I ever said. Well, that's what the survey said. And what you only gave them the questions you wanted to have answered. You led them. You led them to the way. I'd say start with meeting with staff and we can explain kind of what went wrong with the last one and where it could be improved. That would be more sellable. But maybe also use the stakeholders group where you don't have all the decision makers,
Mm-hmm.
but you have a good representative of the community.
Yeah, I'd like to use staff as that buffer between, and also, if we did have a work session with them, they don't have an application in, it doesn't come to us first anyway, it goes to Planning and Zoning Commission, right? So yeah, that buffer between the two, because this latest, the last developer we had, I know was calling me at home, and I didn't feel comfortable talking about, there was an application actually in at that point, so I've always been told to be careful of that.
The good news is, with the last applicant, 95% of the work is done at this point. So all we gotta do probably is tweak it to a little bit more of the stick-built, larger homes, larger lots. And you probably have a pretty good subdivision package right there.
We've had a lot of extensive talks already with this developer. So he knows what failed, he knows what kind of housing that we've learned that we want. So he's heard it from me, from staff. But case in point, we will take it to stakeholders. That's a good one to get their
Yeah.
input too.
I think it would be important that we have a work session and bring to a close our decision on fee in lieu of land dedication before this gets any further.
He's aware of that too, and he's fine with whatever. He's not gonna
I think
fight it.
because we talked about making that decision as a council
Mhm.
before another developer came in, and it looks like we're now under a time crunch again. And I'd
Mhm.
like to get that decision taken care of before it becomes an issue.
Okay.
Okay, that's all.
All right, thank you. One thing I wanted to bring up, last fall, and I talked to Monty, the Finance Committee, just a little bit. Last fall, we talked about council was wanting to, or desired to change the RV, how long you park an RV from 72 hours to a week, and we asked the chief to come in and speak to that. And the chief felt that that would work actually better than what they were doing now, didn't have a problem with it. Rather than draft an ordinance at that time, my understanding, and maybe check with you all, my understanding was that there was gonna be a change in the traffic code that would incorporate council's desire in that, before we got to this summer. And I'm not sure where we're at on that, but I'd like to get some guidance from staff, is that going to be done? Because we're a month away from camping season. And I did have a resident say that they had an officer stop by and talk to them about their camper had been there 2 days, and I think it can be 3. So I'd like to just get some direction. If we're not going to get the traffic code changed and incorporate that change that council desired last fall, then I'd like to see us move forward immediately to going to an ordinance change. And maybe Monty can talk to the chief since he's not here and ask him where we're at with
I
that.
can reach out to them tomorrow.
Okay.
So if we're not gonna get anything until the next meeting in 2 weeks, can we maybe make a motion to draft that ordinance change if that isn't gonna be done in the next 6
Well, we
weeks
can't
or
make a
so?
motion because we don't have it on the agenda for this one, but
If you'd like to direct me to talk with the chief and see it, I think what you're saying is the updated model traffic code would address the issue, and in lieu of that, you want to see an ordinance timely enough to be effective before camping season.
yeah, and one of the things I'm not sure about, with the change they're doing with the modeling code, does that have to come back to council over a period of time to approve it as well? Or is that something that can be changed that council doesn't have decision-making authority over?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's
Okay.
very similar to the building code where you'll adopt it by reference and then make your amendments from it.
Let me ask council this, is, if it comes back that the model code isn't gonna be able to incorporate that change, does this council feel that we need another work session to talk about it? Or should we move forward with an ordinance? Because an ordinance change typically takes 3 meetings, is that right? First reading, second reading,
And then the 30-day period.
so that's gonna put us into,
I think we need to move forward with it.
yeah.
As soon as
The other
we
thing
can.
is the chief does have discretion, if he knows we're going that direction, he can let his officers know that the change is coming, don't worry about it at this time.
Okay,
For a month or 2, I don't think it's gonna be an issue.
okay, all right.
So if that's gonna take a while, I would say just get the ordinance written up
Prepared.
and
Yeah, I say we move forward with it.
either way, just 'cause it sounds like either process takes time and putting it off to another.
I'm not sure
meeting,
what you
it's
mean.
just-
Go ahead, speak up.
That's Tracy had a question.
I do have a question.
Oh,
So, I'm
Go ahead.
sorry, I don't know how to interrupt on the whole conversation, but,
well, you
so-
can't, it's community,
She
not
texts her
community.
over, that's what she does, she's just.
Okay. I'll make an exception, go ahead.
Thank you very much. So, I do have a question because the chamber has a campers and RVers thing that's usually mid-May, sorry.
Oh.
English is always good, but I don't know how that would, I mean, is there an exception on that? Or
Where's it at?
It's gonna
It's at the
extend.
fairgrounds.
it would be at the campground or the fairgrounds. It kind of splits between
How
the
long
two.
is it, T?
3 years, or 3 days, sorry,
We're
3 years.
7 days. so,
We're just gonna go all the way.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking about parking vehicles on city streets. I don't
Okay,
think that.
I just wanted to clarify that because that could bring other stuff to, you know what I'm saying, like for our stuff, for our, I just wanna make sure that I'm clear because I'm not entirely sure where my event, it's all new now with
Okay.
COVID and not having one last year. So if we can just conceal it, but it does bring a good amount of money with
No,
gas,
this
groceries.
isn't gonna
Okay.
affect that at all.
Okay.
We've had that for
I
years.
just wanted to clarify that for our side of stuff,
Okay.
so, okay, thank you.
It's so
Thank you
somebody
very
doesn't
much.
park an RV on the street all summer long, so the neighbors can't see around it, or, you know what I
We
mean?
might,
Or for
in
3
3
years,
years.
you know what I mean, that's, yeah.
For
that's
3
a bit
years,
much, yeah.
we're gonna do that, yeah, no, okay.
No.
I just wanted to clarify that,
Okay.
so thank you, council.
Sure.
I have to say, Rick, I wasn't on council in the fall, but I'm definitely for the change. We personally had a camper that we would store on my husband's uncle's property during the winter, and we'd have to go out and hook it up, and it's fifth wheel, so it's not the easiest
Yeah.
process, and move it. And we're between camping every weekend, and it was quite frustrating. So I'm all for that change. I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, I think we should move forward with it.
Okay, everybody? Okay, so I think council's desire is to move forward with an ordinance unless Monty's feedback from the chief says it's definitely going to come soon. Okay.
Soon as in, define soon, I mean.
Less than the
we-
6
we
weeks
said
it would take
soon
us.
Last fall, and it's still not done,
Yeah,
so soon as in the next month or so.
okay. All right,
Even, here's a weird question, I don't know if it's ethical or not, but even if we know we're gonna pass this, is there any way, while it's in the process of being passed, the officers just kinda know it's coming, to kinda
I think Monty-
grandfather people
Yeah.
into that, like, you know, to stop kinda pressing people forward, cause it's gonna be that's gonna be the law or the rule, so.
Probably fine until they get a complaint from a neighbor.
yeah.
and,
Then
and,
you're gonna-
and
that's
and
gonna
one of the
force
things that
something.
we talked about, it doesn't mean you can park your camper there all summer long.
Right.
As long as it's moved, I think it was once a week. So you would have to go camping once a week if you're gonna leave it there for that fall. If you go camping for 3 days and you come home, once that vehicle hasn't moved for that 7 days, it's gonna have to be moved.
So, the people that came to me about it, that's their problem, is the 2 days. I think 7 days is plenty, I think that's gonna make,
I mean, most of the people who are concerned about this are the ones that are camping at our local lakes every single weekend.
right.
That is their
And we do
getaway.
have some of those.
So I think that's the biggest concern.
Okay.
You kinda said too, concern too, is just that some older, not so attractive one gets parked on the street, right, so
Well, 3 days seem to be
Yeah.
kinda short, I think.
people are living in them or whatever.
Are there any guidelines in the existing ordinance as to, like, how much of the street it can block or impeding, you know, seeing around, being so far away
You
from
have
the
to
corner
be, I
so
think
that
it's
you
30
can.
feet off the corner. I mean, that's your line of sight is
Oh.
off the corner of the street. And then there's also, if it blocks signage, that's one that I think the police department has
Okay.
some authority over. The one thing that I remember, it's happened a couple times, I don't track it, but where I'm gonna leave it here all summer, I'm just gonna move it 10 feet up and then take it around the block and park it 10 feet behind and just.
You know, and
Musical campers.
You couldn't legally, if you look at the code, I looked at it last fall when we were talking about this before, and according to the code, you couldn't do that, because it said it couldn't be parked for more than 72 hours on any public street. So I don't think you could move it and then move it over the other block and then play musical. I think the way it was written, it prevented you from doing that. It could only be 72 hours in any given week on any public street, so.
At that point, then it's a ticket, right? I mean, like I said,
Yeah.
people that have called me, the 7-day thing will cure all their ills.
Okay.
That's perfectly good with them, so.
All right, okay, I think Monty has heard from council, so. All right, with that, I'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting unless anybody has anything else. I'll adjourn and we'll move into work session. Okay, we are adjourned.